Okay, we're gonna make pie. To make pie, you need 2 cups of white flour. Don't get inventive with the whole wheat; it tastes terrible. 3/4 teaspoons of salt and 1 cup of shortening. Don't use lard. Use Crisco. Don't use the weird store brand. It will not. You will not have a good time. I believe I've had success with the Crisco that's not in the blue can, but just get the Crisco in the blue can. It'll work. You also need one of these. The cheap ones with the folded over blades actually work better than the fancy ones with the wire blades. So these run about $5 to $7 and made in China, and they actually work better than the expensive ones. Need a rolling pin. That can be improvised in a pinch.
What would you improvise with? Like a
big can.
Okay.
It's not as good. Big can. You need wax paper, flour, salt, Crisco, and if you don't have water, you probably don't have internet either, so not an issue.
And you'll need aluminum foil for the baking.
Yes, you do need aluminum foil for the baking to have it turn. You can, yeah, to have it turn out properly. But that it says that in the instructions of the pie you're making, actually.
Aimed very high.
Aimed very high.
Yeah.
Now?
Yeah, that looks a lot better.
It's super wide angle, so it'll get it anyway. Okay, so to start, 2 cups of flour, 3/4 teaspoons of salt. That was a mess.
That's why it's over the sink.
That's why it's over the seat. Two quarters, 6/8. I miss Canada because shortening came in 1 pound sticks, like 1 pound sticks of butter, and you could just cut off a pound. It's one of those weird time-saving products you can't get here. Okay. Add your 1 cup of shortening. So you're starting with that. Now the instructions say, and most instructions say this, keep blending it until it looks like pea-sized chunks, but that's not the best description. I say blend it until you have Play-Doh. Because there's an earlier stage that looks right but will not give you a pie. doesn't that look like pea-sized chunks? That's wrong, there's still loose flour in it. So you're not done. See, it's starting to extrude through the blades. That's how you know you're actually making progress. Knock the shortening loose. See how it's extruding like Play-Doh? Once it's all doing that, you're pretty much done this step. Around to make sure the flour isn't all, there's not pockets of loose flour at the bottom. Okay. So see how that extrudes now into these liney things? And it's basically Play-Doh. That's when you're done. When it starts making these sheets. You want all to be pretty consistent. Okay, there's that. Now you need 4 to 5 tablespoons of cold water. Cold out of the tap works. How much water you need is a function of temperature.
So how does that work? Like you need more colder or what?
Yeah, you do not add this all at once. So what you're trying to do is get this to roll into a dryish ball. So you add a little bit of your cold water. And now you need a spoon. You need a longer spoon than that. Okay, so what you're trying to do now is get this all to be a ball. And the water will do that. And the most important thing to do to have a flaky crust is do not touch that. Pretend it's poisonous, pretend it's paint. Don't touch it. If you touch it, the oil from your skin will make it kind of blend together softer and you won't actually get pastry. You'll kind of get store-bought pastry. However, just kind of mash that all together. And this is where temperature is dependent. This 2 tablespoons of water in the summer in Texas could have already made you a ball. I still got little bits of loose bits, so I'll add a little bit more water. Okay. Yeah, see now I've got a continuous ball, and that didn't take all of 4 tablespoons either. Yeah, so I more or less have a continuous ball. Now this will make 2 pies. Sometimes you can get 2, this will make 2 pie shells for sure. It'll make 1 pie with a top and a bunch left over. So about half of this is going to make a pie shell. So separate off half. This is where you need wax paper, because that stuff is sticky, and remember, you don't want to touch it. So, wax paper. You're going to need a little bit of flour to make it less sticky. Let's bring some over. And just a little bit. Dusting of that. Second piece of wax paper. And get them both lightly coated in flour. Okay. Take your ball of dough. Okay. Flatten that. Start flattening that out into roughly pie shaped. And then roll. You're trying to make this bigger than that. That one's going to be a little bit misshapen. You can see how sticky that likes to be. Okay. Now that you've got your pastry, now there's different techniques for this for everybody.
How thick is it right now?
I don't know. Pastry thick. I basically took half of it and squished it out till it's slightly bigger than the pie shell. And now you want that to go in there.
Okay, so it looks like the pie plate is holding down the one end of the wax paper there.
This one's been a little less cooperative than some, but just kind of loosely flop that over. Oh yeah, needless to say, wash your counter first because you're going to be picking dough off of it.
And I guess here's where you find out if you had enough flour on the wax paper.
Yeah, just go careful.
Peel it off like a sticker you're trying not to.
Yeah. And don't stress out, you can patch it. Okay, there we go. So now kind of tuck that in a little bit. I kind of break the touching rule a little bit at this point. Don't touch the whole thing, but where it's coming apart or whatever. Gonna need to. Let's get a clean knife. Okay, and you see places like this where it's a little bit broken. Just take a little bit extra. And this is about the best one that's ever come out for me, so yay. But
No kidding.
you basically just, where there's a little hole, just take a little bit and tap a little patch on it. Tap a little patch on it.
Yeah.
And try not to do that for, try to do that as little as possible. But you rarely have to start over. Once you got it this far, you can even take a big old piece like that and fix it. Okay. Here's a pie crust. Take your little bits here and, without trying to touch them too much, get them over there. And then you take a fork and poke some holes. This kind of helps the air get out from underneath when you put your filling in. Okay, now you have a pie crust. How long you cook it for depends on what filling recipe you're using. I usually use the old Betty Crocker apple pie recipe with a crumble topping. But yeah, there's a pie shell to impress the in-laws with.
2 notes.
Okay.
When you bake it, you put the aluminum foil
Oh yeah.
in it, right?
Yeah. Do I have a piece?
I don't think we have.
Do I have a piece stashed?
No, I don't think so. We haven't made any for a while.
Okay. But yeah, say you're making a pie and it takes 40 minutes in the oven. For the first 3/4 of that, you're going to want to take aluminum foil in half, and you would wrap it around the pie crust like so.
You kind of create a shield, right?
Yeah, that way the edges don't burn. You still want the bottom to cook and the middle to cook. But yeah, you would do that, and then set your timer for when the recipe says to get rid of the foil. And if it doesn't say about 3/4 of the way through, then you peel it off and let it cook the rest of the time to get the edges nice and brown. Okay, what was the other point?
Use the same procedure as you used for getting the pie crust into the pan to put a top.
Oh yeah, if you're doing a lid, same deal. Just kind of flip your wax paper over the top and peel it off once you put all your fruit in.
So
Yeah.
you can use this pie crust and put like whatever fruit in there, right?
Just go online and Google err on the side of the one that wants to put more sugar in.
Because this is a salty.
If you come up with several apple recipes, like where's the one that I use out of, the $1 discounted, well-loved one. Yeah, apple pie. This is a 9-inch pan. You cut up basically 4 cups of apples. Like a packed 4 cups of apple. It says 6 cups. I usually go 4 or 5 thickly packed. 3/4 cup sugar, 1/4 cup flour. Nutmeg is disgusting. I don't bother putting that in. Ground cinnamon. Dash of salt. If you completely don't know what you're doing, is just the very center of your palm, about the size of a silver dollar. Or a 50-cent piece.
Yeah.
Or a toonie.
No one knows what a toonie is.
Yeah. And just dash that on. And yeah, just follow the instructions for a pie.
Mm-hmm. Like a pie filling.
Somewhere there is a recipe for the crumble topping. I'll have to find that and do a different video.
Yeah, that's not not as complicated as this. But okay,
But yeah.
I think that's it.
Okay, cool. Another note, this leftover dough, just put it in a bag in the fridge and it lasts basically indefinitely. Like a month or two is no big deal. So you don't have to commit to making all the pies today. You can make one next week or next month.
For Christmas.
Yeah. It will probably need a little more water to come back after being in the fridge.
Okay, just till it gets to the right consistency again.
Yeah. Here's what the pie filling looks like when you got it done. If you can find Macintosh apples, they make the best, and you don't have to cut them up this small. Pink ladies are nice and tart and have the right taste for a pie apple, but they're drier than the traditional pie apples, so you have to cut them up into tiny little cubes. Yeah. If you can find pink ladies, you're in good shape. You want it to be slightly tart. I've done weird things like mixed in Granny Smith and a sweet eating apple. Didn't work so well because they melted at different rates. Like a Granny Smith is hard, and Delicious is going to melt quicker, so you ended up with sort of chunky apples in there. But yeah, Macintosh, if you can find them, make the best pie apples. Pink ladies, but cube them really small. I couldn't get either of those, so we're trying my one last Pink Lady and Delicious apple and see what happens. Yeah. About 2 tablespoons margarine or butter. What that means is you take little pats of butter. Just kind of, come on. Dot your little pats of butter over. And this is what you do when you're going to make a lid for the pie. I'll spread 2 tablespoons of little pats. You have to remember that step. Now, because it's a pain to cut a slit in the top and then fish the butter in the hole, it still works. You don't need to do that if you're making the streusel topping or the crumble crust, because that comes with its own butter. This is the crumble topping recipe in the French apple pie notes. So, cup of flour, half a cup of packed brown sugar, aired on the side of more of that, and a stick of butter. Oh yeah, it's messy. Okay. You can make this with a fork if you don't have a KitchenAid. Okay. And now that's ready for the oven. Pie is in the oven. 425. .40 and in 40 minutes you take the aluminum foil off and put it in for another 10. Might need 2 hands for this.
Okay, and then you said you had some additional footage.
Yeah.
Why are you licking me? Why are you licking me? You're just drooling for general purposes. Are you just drooling for general purposes? You're such a droolie.
And another 10 minutes.